Have you ever been embarrassed of your suffering? Um, in this American culture, in this Western culture, we kind of idolize or even celebrate well doing to the point that the Christian doctrine of suffering can become a source of embarrassment. And I think that Satan can exploit that embarrassment to cause us to not share or to not fellowship with believers regarding the things we are suffering. These past 2 years, going on 3 years, have been a time of deep suffering for me, where it's like one step forward, 10 step backwards. And it's been hard. It's been hard for me to continuously go to my support system and express my wrestle with this suffering. Um, and I say that in the beginning to maybe call out the person watching this. Maybe you're going through the very same thing. Man, I wanna dive into the story of Job. Just kind of do like a spark note recap of the story of Job to encourage us in this one thing, that God is the reason that we suffer. And I don't say that to blame God or charge God, but I say that to encourage us to acknowledge that a loving, gentle, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love and patience, that God um, is allowing our suffering. And if that God with that character is allowing our suffering, then maybe we should look at our suffering a little different. So I wanna go there with you all today. Let me get out of this real quick. So let's go to Job 1. Let's go to Job 1. Let me do it this way. Bear with me. And we're going to look at Job's response. So, of course, we know the things that took place with Job. He lost his family. He lost his children. He lost his riches. Look at what Job says in Job 1, verse 21. He says this, and he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And verse 22 says this, in all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. Now, just on first glance, you're saying, wow, man, of course, Job's response is phenomenal. How can someone who's going through all that suffering say what he just said? The Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. But in the beginning of Job chapter 1, um, we see that it's not the Lord that kind of initiates this. It's not the Lord who asked this. Let's go to Job 1 real quick and let's go back here and see the true catalyst for this. Then Satan answered and said, does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. So we see here that Satan was the one kind of instigating this, right? Satan was the one who, though the Lord, when Satan was roaming, was like, have you considered my servant Job? Satan was the one to say, yo, go out and strike him, go out and touch him. And though Satan was the one that instigated, Job references the Lord's hand in it in that previous verse that we just read. He says, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. It's as if Job knew. It's as if Job didn't want to play the spiritual attack game. And I'm not saying that spiritual attacks aren't real. But what I'm saying is I believe that Job just went straight to the source and said, yo, I'm going through this and the Lord has allowed it. Maybe in our suffering, we need to get to a place where we are not so quickly to cite Satan as the cause, or cite Satan as the cause to, in some way, affirm that he has some power or more power over that of the Lord. Maybe we approach our suffering as being permitted by God, though Satan may instigate it. In Job 2, let's go to Job 2 real quick. Then his wife said to him, do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die. But look at what Job said again, referring to God as being the source, or being the reason for this. But he said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women would speak." Husbands, don't say that now in 2026. You can get a social media post. Look what he says. Shall we receive good from God? And shall we not receive evil? And again it says, in all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Look at what Job is saying. Look at how Job is citing God as the source of this terrible situation, this trial, this suffering. Can we accept good from God? Or shall we accept good from God and not accept evil? Quick side note, when I was reading about, was it Jehoshaphat? Oh gosh. I think it was either King Jehoshaphat was going to battle with the king of Israel or the king of Assyria. One of them, I'm getting it messed up. This happened in Second Chronicles chapter 25, I think. And when there was a prophet that went to go speak to them, and the prophet kind of gave us this behind the scenes look at what was taking place in the heavenly realm, and said that there were angels on the left and the right of God. And the Lord said, who will go down to deceive the king of Israel? And one of the angels came forth and said, yo, I will go down and put a lying spirit in the prophets to deceive the king of Israel. And when I read it, I was like, what the heck? Like, why would the Lord even have these fallen angels and holy angels in the same place, in like kind of this throne room, this courtroom, and kind of set this plan to deceive this king? And my theology of God's sovereignty was just blown away in that moment. And I'll reference the verse in the description, so I'm not being heretical here. But man, I think we have undermined the sovereignty of God. We have undermined that the purpose of God cannot be thwarted, and that God uses any and everything under his sovereignty to accomplish his will and his purpose, even if those things are apparently evil. And it's weird to say that. It is weird to say that. Because we know that God's not tempted by evil. But I do believe that God will use everything in his power, in his toolkit of sovereignty, to accomplish his will. And I think Job, and what he said here, I want to go back to this verse. He says, in all this, Job did not sin with his lips. In other words, the writer of Job is intentionally making this annotation, or this annotation, this annotation of Job's comment. Shall we receive God? Shall we receive good from God and not evil? He's annotating that commentary from Job as not sinning. In other words, his statement about God's use of evil for his ultimate plan was not sin. Mind blown, bro. What I really find encouraging in this, and if you're still rocking with me at 8 minutes and 48 seconds, thank you. What I'm encouraged by is this, and this goes back to me expressing kind of the character of God in the midst of all of this. Look at what Job says. It's in Job 13, verse 15. He says this, and I love this. The first part of verse: though he slay me, I will hope in him. Bro, what a statement to make. Though he slay me, I will hope in him. What type of knowledge of God's character would cause someone who's suffering to say, though God slays me, I will put my hope in him? In other words, though the Lord is the source of my suffering, I also cite him as the source of my hope. Therefore, I still hope in him. What type of God is that? What type of character does the Lord possess that someone would cite him as the source of their suffering and pain, yet still place their hope in him? What a God, bro. What a God. What a revelation of his character that Job must have had. And to be honest, bro, like, my prayers in these past couple of years have just been like, Lord, I want a revelation of your character so that my suffering is met with this intense hope in you. Like, I've just seen the fallacy of the security of riches, um, the safety of bodily health, the, I don't know, security of emotions or comfort of emotions. I've just seen how futile it is. I've seen how worthless it is. I've seen how it does not save or satisfy. I've just come to this conclusion in my life that I just want God to be the source of everything. Why? Because he is the source of everything. But I don't want it to be an intellectual pursuit anymore. I want it to be a relational and an experiential pursuit. So I look at my suffering. I look at Job's response, though he slay me, I will hope in him. And I'm like, God, I want that resolve. I want that resolve, man. So I don't know if this was an encouraging video or just me kind of sharing my life with you guys, or I don't know. But all I know, man, is that God is truly the source of everything. And before we run to other things that satisfy quicker but leave us yearning, I think I'm at a place now in my life where it's like, I'll wait for the real thing. You know, like, I'll just wait for the real thing. So yeah, man, for those who are suffering, my encouragement to you is to not seek the temporary things, to not run after temporary pleasures, but to wait for the real thing. However long that takes, trusting that even in your waiting, God is working on you, on the situation, on the circumstance. He's working. He's working, man. So I guess my heart and soul is resolved to wait for the Lord, to wait on him for that homegrown joy that my soul desperately needs. So God bless you guys, man. Thanks for rocking with me. Remember, in everything you do, do it for the glory of God. Love y'all, man. Take care. Peace.